Welcome back. Yes, we are here to cover the divine feminine, and as we speak, all the editions will be open. We also on Sundays do have the joint connection. So if you do want to join us, come through and click the bell and you will get the notifications for the joint connection. Now, without further ado, we're going to take a look at this week's energy. And if you do want them pre-release, you can join our YouTube membership. Where we do have extra perks. We've got Discord where we do communicate daily. Coaching comes into play there, super chats and more. So have a look at the YouTube video that covers what we actually provide in a YouTube membership. Now, this is an interesting week coming up for Divine Feminine. As many of you know, I do also separately cover astrology. And I try to incorporate them inside the energy updates as well as the twin flame joint connection to give you some context of how this is directly going to impact you. And it's interesting. We have two cards here in the mix that I'm seeing physically, both the crowning energy and the second row that do have the moon involved. One is in reverse, one is in the upright. And it's funny because we are in that Neptunian energy, sort of looking at our dream state, sort of, wanting to make this physical dream within our lives a physical reality. But we may need to rest during this eclipse phase. Now, it is occurring, let me see, on the 25th, I believe. Let me scroll back up. At 5 degrees of Libra. Now, we're going to look at the Sabian symbol. Bear with me. Of 5 degrees Libra. And I feel this is going to give us some context of how we can use this. Number one is a romance sign. It is a contract sign. It's also linked to the 6th house of health and patterns. And so we can be purging out some circumstances that we don't directly resonate with at this point in time, and trying to find that medium ground. And I really feel the axis between the two eclipses that are coming up between March and April, very significant to find that harmony in between. Now, we do have some oppositions, which does mean we can have some sort of like two things we're trying to merge, but there's difficulty with it. And we're trying to find that negotiating ground. And there's going to have to be a give or take on one side of the circumstance. That can be within ourselves, within our value systems, and within the harmony of understanding that both eclipses can pose some tension points and definitely turning points within our lives. Now, let's look at the Sabian symbol of Libra. A man teaching the inner knowledge. Okay, so it is a masculine sign, although it is to do with Venus. There is a special relationship Libra holds with some very important and lively degrees in the zodiac. Significant changes, developments, and the higher energies can flow with extreme ease. It is an eclipse, so generally speaking, I would say after the fact that can be so. We may need to be patient for that circumstance to flow through. It is to do with true knowledge, with wisdom, being a teacher and outwardly expressing our inner identity. So yes, it could be within our Venusian energy we're wanting to change our image. I would definitely say if there is something to do with your wellness, you're going to need to try and find some harmony. And wherever we've got those tension points in our lives, especially in our twin flame path, is this heart chakra that we're clearing. Is it to do with reality checks of how to get from point A to point B? We will need to integrate. We will need to allow that energy, and usually it's a little bit like going shopping. If we're hungry, we're going to buy more. If we are out of alignment, we are going to not see that circumstance clear. So I do feel, your dream states can be giving you some messages. There can be heart chakra activation. You also spiritually can feel changes happening on the home front. I'm noticing the tree directly below the divine feminine. And it can be that we need to create some balance and harmony. There can be some conflicts with individuals potentially that we're living with at that point in time, and trying to really be in that self-awareness so that we're not projecting out. Journaling can be a very positive thing. casting our manifestations out, but definitely allowing universe to bring them in their own divine form. Generally speaking, manifestations aren't generally all that great of an eclipse. That's because it's divinely guided, and what's supposed to be going and coming is going to come in quite naturally. Now, I am seeing here divine feminine is going to be directly impacted by the moon. It is a feminine energy of nature. We can become a little bit more dehydrated during this time. Your intuitive energy is going to be on fire. But yes, there is a potential also of the third eye activation, and definitely cycles can be quite heavier for those of you that are having your monthlies. Now, we're looking to the past position here. And again, it's quite interesting that this has come up, especially in your twin flame path. You know, a lot of individuals that do cover astrology as well as cover the twin flame path, and hopefully the ones that you're watching are twin flames and have had some experience on the path, which is really going to aid you in your ascension process, and to be coming to individuals that hopefully have had some experience in the area. So you feel it's coming from an individual who potentially is a teacher that has walked a mile in your shoes, and that can be very helpful. Now, I'm looking to the past position here, and we have a hidden pathway, and it's interesting because this eclipse does relate to the past. It is effectively connected to the south node. So there could be something to do with your twin flame path that is coming up, maybe something that was overlooked. And it's interesting because these can be times of blast from the past, renegotiation of the terms, and something, you know, sometimes it can be something that we cast out in our lives that maybe we're returning to, but in a different way. We might have, So this could have been a job, it could have been a person, place, or thing. But we can be reevaluating those circumstances. They are directly going to be different. So the one thing we need to understand is, although we could be going back to a previous circumstance, a dream, a hidden path, a different doorway, this card states hidden path, and I'm noticing the two trees entwined. I'm noticing the symbol that is between the trees, which is the key to life, and it is a protective spiritual tool that has been used to protect you. There's two hearts embedded in the ground. The marriage of spirit and matter. So, you know, coming to the truth of the matter, coming to the heart of the matter, getting to a space that we are intuitively, seeing a new path for ourselves in a different way. And always, be it is, I've always said this, and you'll see hundreds of examples in your own personal life. We never go back to an old thing without it being different. Let's just be perfectly honest. I moved locations many moons ago, and I returned to this location again. It would have been 25 years later. And, sentimentality relating to the circumstance, and of course, it could have been our age we were at that point in time. When I returned, it was physically to where I was born, and I returned back and everything was different. Friends had moved forward. There was still the spiritual connection, but things had evolved. It will never be the same again. And that's not a negative thing. It's that we're taking the old and we're making it new. So it's death and rebirth. So, if there is this confidence factor that you're having and you're looking at your path and you're saying, oh gosh, I don't want it to be the same, it's never going to be the same because you've changed that individual over time. Circumstances have occurred to them and it's always going to be different. The nostalgia also will be there. The history, obviously, but the circumstance 100% will be different. Now, some of you in the heart of hearts can be quite disillusioned during this eclipse stage, during this week. Flow with that energy, but be open to new perspectives. You may need to recover. You may need a moment. This can be a heightened time of feelings. You may not completely spiritually, whenever we see the dove, the first thing we think of is peace. It's in reverse. So in the heart of hearts, in the collective, there can be circumstances going on that maybe we're not looking at as peaceful or negotiable, and that can cause some concern and angst. But separately, it's finding it within ourselves. It's like, how can we Number one is to rise above a circumstance. We need to be healthy, we need to be grounded, and we need to be rational. And sometimes, if we can't have that calm energy, and there's triggers coming up, we're not necessarily going to be seeing the circumstance correctly. So this is a portal where your heart chakra can be a bit tumultuous, and you can be dealing with these circumstances sort of like in a very negative standpoint. I always did say with the North Node coming in, especially on our twin flame path, it was the first term I heard was War of the Roses, because there's masculine and feminine. A lot of times when we've had the North Node in Aries, there has been huge subjects to do with equality coming up with divine feminines, as I've seen 1111 on the clock. The other thing is the assertiveness. Whenever you go through a stage of a nodal shift, the initial stage is the introduction to such. The second stage of it, which is 2024, is generally, it can be the more intense, impactful kind of side of it. At this point in the game, there was a possibility of narcissistic tendencies. I'll just be perfectly honest. The eclipse is a heightened point. It's very heightened with fire energy because the shadow sign is Aries. And it is the eclipse we are moving towards after this one. So trying to harmonize both of those polarities, you may not feel completely sure what direction you're going, what your purpose is, if it's going to work at all. And again, then we move into the moon that is in reverse. Now it's a moon goddess. Repressed emotions, healing and reflection. This can be a time that if you don't do the inner work, if you don't listen to your body, if you don't hear the calling, relating to your home, having some downtime, maybe being in a nurturing environment, there can be a call to really assess those things. There can also spiritually be a feeling that you're not having time. We've got very intense energy at the moment. It's very fast paced. So there is a risk that we can really get burnt out. Everything's fast paced. And always spirit has shown me when I'm out of harmony with that. And so I can become very 3D as the twin flame, and I can be doing the hunter-gatherer mode as a divine feminine, getting work done, getting things done, not getting my psychic downloads, and then bang, I can have a revelation. I can become a little bit unwell. And that's where universe is sort of saying to us, okay, from a spiritual point of view, we need to harmonize that. We need to get back to a place where we can get into the yin and yang, which further down, we do actually have this yin and yang. And that can be what you're needing to do through this challenging time. But I feel this is almost ushering in maybe some communication with your twin flame, some sudden changes, disillusionment of a potentiality. But there is the reason it's coming up is because there's healing. So it's about having the courage. It's about listening, maybe journaling, acknowledging it, a dream coming true, thinking about it, and bang, it can be coming through for you. Now, this can be in the weeks coming. This will be theoretically doors opening, revelations that you're having, almost like a status you are declaring to yourself in sovereignty that you're saying, look, I want to be in a romantic partnership. I don't want to be triggered, worried, shut off from the world. I want my heart chakra to be healed. When can that happen? And I really feel, especially with Chiron in the mix of this circumstance, that we directly are going to be having an opportunity to heal to the point that we can actually manifest these things in quite naturally. So if you are going through a very hard time through this eclipse as a twin flame, as an energy worker, the one thing I can say is it's positive. The deeper you go, the higher you're going to go. Okay, so whenever we have a huge purge, it's for a good reason. Now, at the base, I'm seeing Tree of Life. There is fertility, creativity, dreams, magical blessings. There can be things where you feel you're wanting to achieve them. And, this can be with your twin flame. It can be a circumstance happening with them. It could be a tribal issue that you're directly dealing with them. And you're thinking, gee, when are these obstacles going to be out the way? How do I directly tackle these? I would 100% say wait at least 3 days after the eclipse to a week. It will flow. There are some oppositions, as I mentioned, which spiritually for you, you're going to initially look at it like, oh my gosh, I'm pushing a wheelbarrow up a hill with no energy. There can be a need to plant seeds in fresh soil or wait for the information to come towards you. But I'm sensing for divine feminine, there could be several areas in your life that you're just getting ever so frustrated at. It could be your work area. It could be with your kids. It could be in your home environment. It could be with your dreams and destiny. It could be with your twin flame. And, you know, whatever struggles you're going through, universe is saying, regardless of whether you can see it or not, there is going to be a physical blessing for you. Okay, everything that you've learned before, you are going to be able to apply it. They're asking you to go back to basics. That they're saying that now there's going to be, and it's strange, it's almost like the changes you've made, you're reassessing them. This is a 5. I absolutely do not like 5s. I like 5s after the fact. Whenever we're seeing the 555s, generally it signifies a massive change. And I feel for a lot at a foundation level, you have gone through a lot of changes, okay? Now it's saying those changes need to be stabilized, and maybe it's really about you realizing that you have changed, you've made changes, there's been a lot of upheaval, and getting into yin and yang. This is showing me that both parties here, divine feminine and divine masculine, are coming into a harmony shift. Now, this is why the circumstances in your life are happening at this point in time. If you are all of a sudden psychically feeling you need to complete things, you need to get things done, you're running out of time, penny little, the sky's falling down, trust your guides, because they're guiding you effectively. You're going to have the confidence to move forward. It's funny, we have apprehension here as the outcome card, and it's in reverse. And I feel getting into harmony, you're going to see things more clearly. I also feel some of you could have some information coming towards you where this person is going to react more harmoniously. Also, you're going to have revelations that the clearing energies that you guys are going through to make your dreams come true, and an old path from the past coming back, is going to open up doors. And there is, the whole reason this is happening is for healing, harmony, and balance, and to be open to these new doors. And you definitely, from that perspective, if you can get into your yin and yang, what I'm seeing here is you're going to feel more confident, and you're also going to have some details and some context, because you have evolved, you have gone through changes of how to harmonize this. And it's almost like this is going to be opening doors. I hope to see you next week for the energy update. Do remember to come through and see the joint connection. This will give you a deeper context of what can be coming through in your joint twin flame path weekly. And if you do want to join our super chats, come and jump into our YouTube membership. You get the next edition out as we're always ahead. So we're generally a week ahead of content. And if you want to get these pre-release no ads, you can join our YouTube membership, as well as joining our private in the dark super chats, which is cheaper than a reading. I do provide readings online, and you can go to all the links directly below. Don't forget to check Masculine, Feminine, and Karmic weekly. They are all out at the same time. Take care, beautifuls, and I'll see you next week for your Divine Feminine update.